Hey friends, welcome back. For those new to my channel, my name is Dominique and I am currently documenting a weight loss journey, a natural weight loss journey. I'm down about 76 pounds officially, and I am sharing my journey with you all. Now, it has been, for those that are not new to my channel, it has been a minute since I last recorded. And the hiatus was due to actually a medical concern. So today's video, I want to talk a little bit about it. It is definitely tied to my weight and my history of being overweight. And I think it's really important that as I challenged myself to develop this channel to create community and transparency about the peaks and valleys of weight loss, that I am open and honest in this discussion because it had a major impact on my life. And I will be transparent in saying that this is not the most comfortable topic for me to open up about or the easiest topic to discuss. So if I seem a little uneasy, just bear with me. But if there's anyone out there that can learn a little bit from my story, I want to make sure that I share it with you, and that, you know, we have the opportunity to grow and learn together. So bear with me. It is a medical story, so you are going to get a little TMI, but that's okay. We're all friends here. And so let's dive in. We're going to do a little story time, and I'll give you the update about where I've been for, you know, the last few weeks, actually like a month and some change. So the story starts at the beginning of April. This is Memorial Day that I'm filming. And so it was, I had started to bleed, an off cycle period, and I started to bleed uncontrollably. It was really bad. In all honesty, I was changing like a maxi pad every 20 minutes or so. And in all honesty, I probably could have been changing them more frequently. And I didn't know why. I had finished my period like 2 weeks ago. I knew it wasn't time for my period, and it was just, the floodgates opened. It was terrifying. I decided to call a nurse. At that time, we were at the sort of the start of the coronavirus scare, and so I didn't feel comfortable going to urgent care or the emergency room at that point. And I wasn't necessarily any physical pain. I just knew that my body was doing something really unexpected and really scary. So I called a teledoc, and, you know, they asked me a couple of questions. Primarily, was I feeling nauseous or dizzy at all? And I wasn't. And so they were under the impression that I can sort of wait it out, and if things started to take a turn in that direction, that I should go to the doctor. So I waited out, and I waited out for maybe an hour or so, and it doesn't stop. It just did not stop. And at this point I had started to clot as well, and like the biggest blood clots I'd ever seen, like the size of, not the palm, like my whole hand, you know. I was like, this is not normal. I had realized at that point that I hadn't really eaten or drinking much that day. I was sort of busy running around, and so my mom and sister, whom I live with, went out and got some food. I decided to hop in the bathtub, thinking like, you know, maybe the water would help ease me a little bit, and it didn't. I just kept bleeding, y'all. And they eventually came back, and my mom came in to check on me, and she started talking to me, and I just said, you know what, I just need to lie down. So I try to get up from the bathtub, and I black out and fall in the tub. Thank God my mother at that point was talking to me, because she was able to catch me and apparently almost hit my head on the faucet, which thank God I didn't. It was at that point we realized that maybe this was a little more serious than we thought. I lost so much blood, and I was definitely dizzy, and tried my best to navigate to my room at that point. So I started to walk over, and by the time I got to my bedroom, which is literally like at the most 15 feet away, I black out again. I fall on the floor. And it's funny because I actually thought I had like laid on the floor. I realized I was tired at that point, but I did not lay on the floor. I felt it for several days after. I knocked out on the floor and blacked out again, this time for a longer period of time. And so my family was terrified and decided to call 911 to see about getting me an ambulance because I wasn't waking up. I came to eventually, and at that point they like had my feet raised. I could hear like a lot of hustle and bustle in the background, and I was out of it. And a few minutes later, I hear people coming in the house, and it was the paramedics. So the paramedics asked me some questions, take my vitals. Things seemed to be okay. Long and behold, like putting my feet up actually helped to stop a little bit of the bleeding. I really wish that nurse had told me that before all of this, but it was actually a blessing in disguise, and we'll get to that point. So the paramedics took my vitals, told my family that under normal circumstances they would take me to the emergency room given like how much blood I had lost and the size of my clotting. But due to the coronavirus scare, they didn't want to risk me becoming more sick. And so they thought like maybe go to urgent care if things change a little bit. Actually, not maybe. They wanted me to go to urgent care, but not the emergency room. And so they helped me into the emergency. I'm sorry, not the emergency. They helped me into the car. My family drove me to urgent care. And at that point, I was so weak, I could barely walk. I can barely put one foot in front of the other. I could like barely lift my head or raise my hand. And urgent care actually, like, you couldn't come inside. They took my vitals in the car, and the woman basically told me like, what you have, we can't do anything for you because we are focused on coronavirus and coronavirus only, and you're probably going to need a blood transfusion given how much blood you've lost. And at that point I'm like, a blood transfusion, like what? However, she gives me the number to an urgent care gynecologist, which I did not know that was a thing. So and at this point I had stopped bleeding, but it was still sort of this like mystery, like, why am I bleeding, and will it start again, and will this be a problem, and do I actually need a blood transfusion? Do I need an IV? Like, what do I need? So I decided to go to the urgent care gynecologist. And again, like, I couldn't go in, my family couldn't go with me, because they're, top level protocols, safety protocols due to coronavirus. So I had to like do my medical intake and all of that myself. And when I tell you, I stayed pretty calm the whole time all of this was going on, but I fully broke down at this point, just in tears, because I tried to write my name and I couldn't write my name. And I just had never felt like that weak, that helpless, like my body was completely turning on me, and it was really scary. So I promise I'm gonna get it together. So they take me in. They couldn't really figure out what was causing the blood loss, excuse me. But they had some additional concerns after doing my screening, and suggested that I get an ultrasound to do some more research on what could possibly be going on with my body. And with that, they found a couple of things, like some things I kind of knew. They're like, oh, we did your blood work, kind of anemic. All right, I'm taking iron, like, keep that up. Oh, like we, weight is always a thing. So I knew that much. And actually, this was the first time I didn't have a doctor just like blame everything on weight. But they found some cyst. And within that, cysts can be benign, they can be non-problematic, but they were concerned because they were abnormally large. And I will be fully transparent in saying it had been a really long time since I've been to the doctor. I'm not an annual checkup type of person. I wish I was, and I could give you like the PSA on how important it is, but I got fed up very young going to the doctor when I felt like every issue I had was tied to my weight and I wasn't getting the support I needed at the doctor. Now, that's not an excuse because I need to keep up with my health, but I didn't do it. But you know better, you do better. So I will be changing my behavior moving forward, but I hadn't been in a long time. So some of this could have been possibly prevented. So they found the large cyst. They found 3 of them, 2 on my left side, 1 on my right side. And then they also found that the my endometrial lining was really thick, and I forget the proper name. I'll try to put it here. But they found that that was really thick, and that could possibly, you know, lead to some form of cancer potentially, or it could be. So they needed to investigate that further. And so because of those 2 things, because I had a really large cyst that had the potential to strangle an ovary and kill off an ovary, or it had the potential to erupt and cause me a lot of pain. And because I had this really thick lining, they needed to remove some of those things and also investigate them to see how detrimental they could potentially be. So I had my surgery scheduled, and this is where it got really hard for me because I never had surgery before, and I was really scared to have surgery. But that wasn't what bothered me the most. What bothered me the most was there was this lingering thought of if I would have the if I would have the ability to have children at some point. I'm 33. I have not had kids yet. It's something that I always thought I wanted, but it was never quite the right time. And I always thought, you know, like there's so many ways to become a parent. I didn't see myself as needing the traditional route. But I didn't realize that it was something I wanted until it was almost taken away. So going into the surgery and not knowing, you know, what could possibly actually be happening in my body it's really scary. And it really put into perspective some things that I wanted that I did not know I wanted. I'm gonna get it together. But it was, in case you can't tell, it was an emotional time while I waited for that. Going into surgery, all of that was playing in my head. And even the thought of like, if something happens during the surgery, you know, it's just, it could also mess up this thing too. And then like the loom of, you know, potential cancer, like that's never fun. That's scary, right? Like, but it was not the most scary part to me for whatever reason. So fast forward, I have the surgery, and literally I don't remember much of this day other than like waiting. The nurse tried to make things so beautiful for me. He put on my favorite R&B music and just let me chill. I remember going into the operating room. I moved to the operating table, and the anesthesiologist says, you know, like, this works really quickly, and that's all I remember. I was out, y'all. I wake up and I was done. It kind of was like, I don't know, I felt like I had the worst hangover in the world. The room was spinning, but I was done. And they let me know immediately that they saw no initial concerns. Things came back really positive, but I had to wait officially like a week for my post-operation. to a post-operation meeting with my doctor, my surgeon, to make sure that everything comes back from the lab benign and there's no additional concerns with the cyst. And I have that, and I'm fine. I'm great. And I say all of this, again, I wanted to bring it back to this channel, and sorry, my phone is gonna die. I have 20% left. So I say all of this to because I recognize, doing research on both the cyst and this condition where the my inner lining in my, it's called like endometrial something. I will put it here, I promise. But both of those are caused by hormone imbalances. And one of the factors of a hormone imbalance is being overweight. And while, you know, we are beaten over the head with how many things can go wrong because of your overweight, like you have the potential to have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, you're more likely to get cancer, you're more likely to get all of these things. But, and I knew that reproducing could be a challenge when you're overweight, but I didn't realize I was actually potentially setting myself up to not have that ability at all. And so this was a really good reminder for me to keep on track. Knowing you want something so badly puts a lot into perspective for you. And I really want to be a mother. And I really want to make that happen for myself. And I want to make sure that I'm around long term once I have a child to be there for my child. And I realize life happens, things happen. But if whatever in my control, I want to keep it within my control. And I don't know if knowing the potential like damage I was doing to my body would have changed how much time I spent at my heaviest weight. I don't know. But what I do know is I feel enlightened and empowered now. And I want to make sure that, again, what's within my control, I keep within my control, and I do my work. And I don't know who needs this message, but, you know, take care of yourself. Be honest with yourself. And, you know, take it day by day. I recognize weight loss is extremely hard, and it's not just about the calories in, calories out, and dropping pounds. There's so much that goes into it, but it is, you know, most of the time, unless there's a health condition, it's within our control. And I just want to make sure that we're honest with ourselves. And I wasn't for a really long time. I really wasn't. With understanding why I was operating the way I was, and also honest with how it had the potential to impact me long term. I was living in La La Land. And so I'm trying to move away from La La Land and keep my eye on the prize, and I'm recommitting myself to my weight loss goal. To be completely transparent, it took a toll on my body the last, month and a half. So I have not been actively trying to lose weight. I've been at a maintenance level. I have maintained. I've dropped a few pounds, but like nothing like how quickly I was doing it before. And I'm recommitting myself to the process, just because, again, I don't want to lose sight on what I want for me, for my future, and for potentially the people that come into my life, like a child. So thank you for listening. I hope you take something away from this crazy story, and look out for new videos. I'm officially back in action, y'all. Hey, I'm back. And there's more content on the way. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, y'all, so you know when a new video is on its way, because it's coming. All right, until next time. Peace.